Hey guys, welcome to House of Attention. My name is Michael McConnell, and today I'm super excited because we have one of the young all-stars in dining, hospitality, and private clubs. This is Bay Stewart. Hey, Bay.
Hi, how's it going? I'm so excited to be here.
Look, we're excited to have you, and I love how this all came together because me, you, and Michael Trino, who's the founder of House of Attention, we had a call many moons ago, and I fell in love with your story. How you took just generally what people do every day and turned it into a community-centered dining experience. Bay Stewart, one of the founders of ATX Supper Club, a warm community centered on dining experiences that spark joyful connections and ridiculous memories. I love that because I love ridiculous people. So,
Yeah.
how are you doing today?
I'm doing so well. We're in the thick of it, so I'm excited to kind of move through the story. It's been a really, really kick-ass journey.
And you got a lot going on. You got a lot of construction happening. We're going to get into that later. But you started with one dinner in your backyard. And at what point did you realize this wasn't just a fun project, it was a real business?
Something that my business partners, I think, would note about me is I'm either really early on an idea or I'm way late. So that was a way late moment. I didn't intend to start a business. I intended to be a voyeur for connection. I was 22, about to be 23, and I had just come out of college. COVID had just happened, and we were still kind of moving through a post-pandemic world. And I was in that, one of those times in your life where you're like, I don't really think I have my people,
Yeah.
but I know they're around some
They're
corner
there.
somewhere. How do I do that? So I was a private chef at the time and was like, okay, I'm just going to put all of my constellation of friends down at a table and
Hmm.
watch them connect for a while. Because if we have something in common, they have something in common. And there's no greater joy than watching your friends become fast friends. Then opened it up to the public because my mom was like, you're an extrovert girl. If you need this, someone else needs this. And it sold out in 5 minutes. It was a 12-seat dinner. So, like,
Yeah.
nothing to like shake a stick at now comparatively, but at the time it was awe-inspiring. And I think that was like my first inkling, the first drop in that particular bucket. But it probably took 6 months after that of that happening, like 10 more
Mhm.
times. I was like,
It clicked. Yeah.
oh, this is a business. And then I think it was when I started to bring on people to help me because I was doing it completely alone. I was the bartender, the florist, that I was everybody. And not all those hats really fit me. But once I was responsible to other people, once I was in community in a micro way with people that I was leading, that's when I was like, I need to take this seriously because I need to walk the community walk internally. That's
I
what.
love that. Perfect, because you said a word. I want to stay on the word community.
Yeah.
A lot of people throw this word around,
Yeah.
but you actually build community. A lot of these brands, they want to build community. What is something that you think that they get wrong about that?
Oh, I've mulled this over and thought a whole lot about it. Something that's funny. I'm a firm believer that there's no such thing as too many jobs. And so while I was private chefing, I was also early on in a marketing career.
Hmm.
Now I occasionally will consult as a brand strategist. And from the moment I exited the doors of my university to now, community this, community that, and now getting to watch it in real time and working with brands to talk about
Hmm.
how they can quote unquote leverage community. I think leveraging actual community organizers like micro influencers would be a huge opportunity for them because the authenticity fatigue that people have been experiencing from influencers, the fatigue of being sold to is only growing. And so people are really resonating with these tactile experiences where the founder sits down at the table with you or walk you through the story. Passionate people buy from passionate people. For all of time, commerce has been a person to person business. And now, because of the internet, we don't have to know who we're buying from anymore. That depersonalization of the commerce experience is where brands are feeling that oversaturation.
I was going to save this, but you are building an actual physical space now. You said you broke ground. Tell me more about this.
Okay, so I am not a dictator. I have worked with the same women that I brought on when I first needed people to be extra hands and be experts. And so when they tell me that they are feeling something from the community or whatever the case may be, I really listen up. there was a kind of inflection point about a year and a half ago where we'd become really adept movers because we were popping up from place to place. And, like a lot of folks are popping up a highly curated dining experience is effortful.
Yeah.
And we had this moment of like, are we going to keep doing this? What does this look like moving forward? Is there a smarter way to do this? How do we do this? What do we do? And also just a need for growth. Everyone was kind of hitting this point of like, we're really good at this now. Now what happens? Which, as a leader, like there's nothing more inspiring than looking at your team and seeing people like, we should be doing more. We can do more. We're capable of more. So the options were like, okay, we could go take this to other places, or we could really go all in where we are. And to us, we wanted to swing for the fences and really hyper invest in the Austin community. It's this incredible kind of teenage city. There's so much opportunity for making your mark. There's very few third spaces, communal spaces, whatever you want to call them. And if any, if we're being honest, outside of these kind of like member clubs. So, I had met this incredible woman. Her name's Hannah Sexton. She is my business partner in All Good Things, which is what the space is called. She is an art cake baker. She is an experiential producer in New Orleans, primarily at the time, in Mexico City. We sat down because I was posting on my like Instagram story, like, hey, other small business owners, if we all rent a place together, like we can do this. And we sat down and she looked me dead in the eye and she goes, you need to think bigger. And that was like a lightning strike moment. And I think by that evening, I was like, hey, so I think we're business partners now. We're going to do this together. And the next thing I knew, we were putting together investor decks. We were doing the whole thing. And we made it happen. We now have a place on Cesar Chavez. It is a historic part of Austin, a major street, one that really shaped my teenagehood when I moved here. And in the short time that we have been there, really started to pop off, for lack of a better word. Just a lot of new hospitality concepts coming to that street, all that good stuff. So we are just continuously inspired by what's happening around us. So we broke ground yesterday, but we got in there in November, and we decided that we were going to postpone this iteration where we literally and figuratively architected the space to have a dry run where it was not open to the public, but we would reach out to community organizers throughout the city and bring them in, say, hey, post your stuff here, post your gatherings, and then just give us feedback. Tell us what you need. And once we have a better idea of what you need, what your communities are needing, that we aren't serving, but we have the opportunity to, then we will break ground, we will architect it, we will build it out, so that this place can truly be a space that is serving the needs of the wider community that we haven't even gotten to interact with yet.
Man, first of all, congratulations, breaking ground. Now we're doing this at the right time. Not only have you built a brand through community, you also got partners and investors that way as well. So that is just phenomenal, and this is such a case study. And like I feel like a future TED Talk is on the way at some point. But I want to bring up another C word, curation.
Yeah.
How important is it for you now that you have a permanent space? Because I do feel like when you do pop-ups, it's a little easier to do a curated experiences. It's a new place, it's fresh, it's on this side of town, it's on that side of town. How important is curation going to continue to be for your subclub?
Well, I'm going to say something that I think is kind of a grander ethos and piece of advice that I just need to keep reiterating to myself. It's okay to say I don't know. We have not walked that walk yet. I can't totally say what the experience will be like being rooted. We haven't gotten to be ever. The last 7 months, we've kind of gotten to practice that because we've only hosted ATX Supper Club there. It's still not hard to maintain the community spirit that we have over the past 3 years, but I am really interested to see how that fluctuates and changes. And when there have been times when we have someone come through our door where I was like, maybe you are not in step with the experience that we're trying to bring everyone else here. I really rely on my community members and my my team who are keeping their eyes on folks. AGT, All Good Things, we in short call it a home for hosting. And above all else, anytime we bring a team member on, the first question, the most paramount box they need to tick is, are you a host? So I completely trust that everyone who comes through the door, there are like 5 to 10 people whose eyes have been on them. And if for any reason they don't necessarily feel like they are part of the curated community that we are putting together, we kind of have a 3-strike model. And that helps a little bit. Hey, what was that? Okay, please don't do that again. Keeps happening. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to have discernment as a founder and as an operator. And I want you to repeat. So so the name of the location is All the Good Things,
All
right?
Good Things. It's a
All
little,
good.
it feels very Austin, very Matthew McConaughey. Like, oh,
Yeah.
how's your day going? All good things.
All good things. And I got to add that to my lexicon.
Yeah.
So the ATX Supper Club will be inside of all good things. And you're just been testing it out over the last few months. So we just wanted to reiterate that I didn't even know about this until I got on with you. And I'm really excited about it. And we can't wait to check it out. But I want to switch gears a little bit, talk a little bit about the business hospitality end. So hospitality is changing rapidly. We talked about this a little bit. Hotels, developers, real estate owners, they're all trying to create authentic experiences instead of just beautiful spaces. I feel like the whole old world luxury thing is a bit dated now, and even they recognize that. Have you had conversations about, just going back to the ATX Supper Club, have you had conversations about bringing the supper club into those type of environments that need that kind of zhuzh and help?
Yes, and I don't want to diminish these spaces. It occasionally feels like they think they're doing us a favor. It's like, we've managed to do this in warehouses. We don't need to be in your upscale gastropub. All due respect. So yeah, we've done some hospitality consulting. We've done some operational and programming consulting with some hospitality groups and all of that good stuff. It is something that's really exciting to me, how the landscape of hospitality has changed. We have been referring to it internally as kind of like modern hospitality. This kind of gathering spirit and gathering culture is going to move modern hospitality. Like, I feel a little bit like an anthropologist all over again. I was a voyeur for connection, and now I'm one for connection in the macro, which is like, again, awe-inspiring. And there are so many true artists in hospitality that I think their voices are being consulted more often, heard louder, appreciated deeper. Bringing ATX Supper Club to these other spaces, I think, will be something that is more, it's prioritized in probably 2027. But for now, we are really trying to build our home. And as I empower people on the team to be leaders outside of All Good Things and go and take ATX Supper Club to restaurants throughout town, hotels, all of that, all of those folks, I think that's going to be really special. I'm excited to see how that shapes the community.
You're shaking things up, but doing it in a way that is still inclusive and somewhat educational from a voyeuristic standpoint, because I can tell, a lot of these traditional hospitality outlets and institutions, they're paying attention. They're seeing what's happening. And, I like the fact that you're like, hey, we're approachable. You just have to approach us the right way. And we want to maintain control of our brand, because after we leave here, we still have to have our brand. What would you like to see in hospitality a little bit more? What is something, and you don't have to speak just specifically to where you're at in Austin, but like, what would you like to see more of?
We have been talking a lot about like curation and all the ways in which you can kind of overcomplicate hosting. We have done it. We've done it expertly. And I think a lot of folks are doing it. And not to say that we're, taking a minimalist approach or anything like that. I don't think that that's really in our playbook. But we've been breaking down, like, what is hospitality? What if we were to just look at a dictionary definition and look at it, and what is everyone taking from it? And what we've been taking from it is hosting. We want to be hosted and to host effectively. The art of noticing, all of, it's cropping up everywhere. And we I personally would like to be hosted. It was a joke for the first 2 years of ATX Supper Club. It was like, no one's invited me to a dinner party yet. Am I going to go to a dinner party where someone's serving me food? I am appreciating that the experiential piece and the hosting piece of what we do and how these larger hospitality brands, what they're noticing is creeping its way into retail. It's creeping its way into restaurants near me. You're being attended to, you're being noticed, you're being taken care of in a higher caliber way, in a more authentic way. And I really enjoy that. I think it's meaningful in a world where like convenience is readily available and you can get the answer to something in 0.5 seconds or have a deck made for you, all of these things, that it always comes back to how are we seeing each other and how are we taking care of each other. And I'm glad to see that being reflected out in the world in a bigger way.
Great answer. And I love that you guys embrace being ridiculous. We wholeheartedly support that. But in terms of the financial piece of it, right? Obviously, it's still a business and you have to sustain. What's some of the lessons? Because this is just how I see it, with the new space. You had a third space that you created. You had a third space to permanent space pipeline. Financially, what are some things that kind of blew your mind?
Pop-ups are incredibly manageable. In my opinion. Like that, I was 23. I had to pay contractors, I had to pay for food, occasionally I had to pay for space, and then brands either sponsored, people paid for tickets. Like it was, the landscape of those financials was like 5 inputs max. Now, there are so many more pieces. The money gets much bigger, both income-wise and expense-wise. QuickBooks is your friend. Gusto is your friend. That's what I learned. But I think what blew my mind was how big the money was. And also, I was really taken aback initially by what that money looked like, felt like, the choices that could be made with said money. And then the fact that it was so easy to come back to, okay, how do we take care of our team? How do we make sure that we're not exploiting organizers? How do we stay competitive while also honoring our labor? Coming back to that makes everything very simple. It's toggling percentages and working your ass off.
It just seems like you've had to flex muscles that you didn't even know were there, once you went from that sort of third space to permanent space.
Yeah.
And I love that for you and your team. I mean, bravo for, being able to still also be conscious of respecting organizers, because community is still the underline. And, it takes 1 or 2 bad decisions to start building a poor reputation in community.
Yeah, that's maybe one of the most shocking things. I was a musician in a past life, and I always thought that the music circles that I was in were so tight. Hospitality, it's like, don't piss anybody off. Everyone knows, which I kind of appreciate, like the accountability, the shared accountability in these circles, because it's like, at the end of the day, we're taking care of each other. You can have a bad attitude while you're taking care of each other. So there's that. I digress. Anyway, continue.
Bay, I'm so proud of you. Because we haven't spoken in a few months, and I just like learning about the permanent space that you guys are building and how you were able to just create this and meet your partners and then get investment. It really is a phenomenal story. Now, I'm putting myself in the shoes of a 19-year-old who's sitting here watching this. I'm going to ask the typical question that people ask in all interviews, seeing that person, that young person who wants to do what you do, or they can be older, whatever it is, just give some words of inspiration from your learnings throughout this journey. Just leave us with some good words.
Some good words. I think I have 2 good words that I would say to either 19-year-old or 60-year-old me, even. Your labor deserves to be compensated, and in a perfect world, community wouldn't cost a thing, and my job wouldn't exist. But we don't live in a perfect world, and people who fall in love with people every day and are appreciators of connection deserve to be protected from burnout, which does typically equal compensation. So don't martyr yourself on the sword of community, because they can coexist. Honor your team, honor yourself.
It's not just sitting down having a dinner, it's the way we treat each other, right? And there's nothing more intimate than inviting somebody into your space, making a meal for them, and just talking about life. It is possibly the most, intimate, non-sexual thing that you can do.
Yeah.
And it's the most respectful thing that you can do for somebody is make them food and host them in your space. I want to thank you for your time. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to plug both spaces because I have the ATX Supper Club website, of course, but plug the new space, plug the Supper Club, and tell us about anything that you want to, your team, whatever you want to tell us, just some closing words.
Well, you can find us. Our Instagram is typically our primary comms space. So at atx.supper.club. And then All Good Things is at allgoodthings.atx. That's where you can find us on the internet. And then shout out to my incredible business partner, Hannah Sexton. None of this would be possible without her. She is an operations and creative powerhouse that just rocks my world every day. And then Harper Zimmerman, our head chef of almost 3 years now. She is awe-inspiring. She is a force in the kitchen and kind of the rock of the team. And then Maya Bernal. Maya has been our bartender and then just out of nowhere has always been an incredible artist, but took on florals and now is starting their own company and going on this really exciting entrepreneurial journey. There's nothing like building a family while you build your dreams, and I'm forever grateful.
Amazing. Look out for this woman. You will see her in a lot of places, a lot of business magazines, hospitality. And we're going to look out for you, and we're going to keep pestering you. Bay, thank you so much. My name is Michael McConnell. We're House of Attention, and have a great one.